I give the floor to Kyrtzos.
Thank you very much. It seems to me that one of the main issues is when inflation will start going down. And I'm afraid we as Europeans, central bankers and politicians, are more optimistic than we should be. For instance, I read the statement made by Yellen, the US Treasury Secretary, according to which inflation will not be tamed until COVID is under control. And of course, we know that COVID will be under control towards the end of 2022, according to the basic scenario of the World Health Organization. So who is right, the Americans or the Europeans? I'm, of course, with the Europeans, but it's a strategic question. And then I have to tell you that it's not only Mr. Ferber that is worried about the interest rate situation. I'm in favor of the ECB's policy because I come from Greece and I think it is a very accommodative policy. Nevertheless, I read in the Financial Times today a McKinsey study according to which declining interest rates have played a decisive role in lifting asset prices of all sorts, but particularly real estate prices. And at the same time, according to this McKinsey study, that it is mentioned in the Financial Times, but it also fuels inflation in rents since so many people can't afford to buy. And this affects mainly the younger generation who refuses to vote because it thinks that we do not care about their situation. What is your answer to these questions?
Three questions actually would warrant a good 5 minutes each, so I'm pressed for time by the President. But in a nutshell, are we more optimistic, less optimistic than the US? I think that comparisons are not really appropriate in that respect, because we start from a different place in terms of inflation level to begin with. When they entered into the pandemic, when we entered into the pandemic, they were in a different place in terms of interest rates. Certainly not as much at the lower bound as we are. And the recovery has taken a different turn as well in the United States. So to compare the two largest economic regions is I don't think, appropriate when it comes to defining the policies going forward and what are the next move. When, the link between inflation and pandemic is an interesting one, and I think that link is also very specific to a particular country, and we need to be very attentive to our euro area. There are some very interesting statistics about pandemic, vaccinations, economic recovery, and I believe that if anything matters importantly going forward and will weigh on the upside will certainly be the progress that is conducted in relation to vaccination and immunity of populations in general. So I don't think that somebody is right, somebody is wrong. I believe that we deal with different situations and we, having started from different places. As I said earlier on in answer to another question, the current US inflation is very different from the current euro area inflation. And when you look in particular, apart from energy prices, because that affects all economies around the world, but if you stripe prices from the energy prices and the food prices as well, because it's highly volatile, then you look at the core inflation, the increase in the United States is 4.6%, touching on pretty much all categories of goods and services, whereas in Europe it's 2.1%, and only a minority of goods and services are increasing significantly. So I think that we are in very, very different places. Now, the impact of monetary policy on income, on assets, on housing prices is a whole debate that we could have, on which my colleague Mrs. Schnabel has committed a very interesting speech recently, which echoed a research piece that was produced by the ECB a week ago. And while it is clear that the monetary policy has some side effects in relation to asset prices and in relation to housing, for sure, it also has a significant and positive impact on growth, on employment, and I think that we should be mindful of all such impacts and effects when we do our proportionality analysis of the measures that we decide. The positive impact, the side effects that it produces, and I'm not using the word negative because it depends in which position you are. If you are acquiring and you have the benefit of low interest rates and low mortgage costs, then this is regarded by you, if you're acquiring, as a positive, whereas it can be regarded as a negative by others, in particular those who have significant deposits.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I really would like to